There they are. The stars of the evening. Go, Jaime.
Let me move to our hosts. Katie and Chet are just amazing because just think of how random it is to get a message from somebody that says, we believe in you. We want you to come to New York. We're going to put on a fundraiser for you. We have no idea who you are, right? But we believe in your message. You all are just absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And then, we're joined by other hosts. Michael Blake, who is not here right now. Many of you know Mike. He's a state rep, but Mike is one of my longtime friends. He worked in the Obama administration, and he is now running for Congress himself. And so I'm proud of Mike and all that he is doing. Bonnie, thank you so much for agreeing to host. And then two of our hosts are college friends of mine. The first is Daryl Jones. Where's Daryl? There you go. Daryl is Mr. Hopkins. Has always been a good friend in our corner, in my corner. And we were at Yale together and lived in Pearson College, which is our residential college. And so, Daryl, thank you for being here and sponsoring. And then my college roommate, Dave Drews. Dave and I lived together for 4 years in college. And I remember the first time that I talked to Dave. And so, you probably had two kids who could be so different, right? And Dave lived in New York. His dad, who's here, Papa Drews, thank you for being here. Dave had all of New York. And I'm from Orangeburg, right? The town with 15,000 people in it. And so, we got the names of our roommates, and so we had phone numbers, and Dave, I can't remember if I called you or you called me, but I was working at Bingo. So I don't know if you all know this, but my very first job was a bingo caller. Seriously, I was the guy that was sitting up there B10, I-17. And then, I'm calling bingo, and then all the old ladies in the room are like, because my boss always wanted me to go really quickly, and he'd go like this, and I'm like, B7, 66, and then all the ladies were like, boy, slow your ass down, you're calling too fast. So I'm taking a break from bingo, and I said, well, I just got the number of my new roommate from college, and so I'm gonna call him. And I called Dave up, and I don't know, Dave's probably throwing around the football or something like that, and we start talking. Little did I know that this guy would be one of my best friends in the world. I was the best man at his wedding, and his lovely wife Corey is here. God was his first sons, and he was the best man in my wedding. And I love Dave like he was my blood brother, because in all aspects he is my brother. So Dave, thank you so much. So this race in South Carolina. So I am told that Lindsey Graham right now is on Air Force One flying down to Orlando to announce with President Trump his campaign. Lindsey Graham, the guy who called Donald Trump a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. Right? And then he said, no, I didn't say that he was a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He's now doing such a great and fabulous job. My friends, I think George Will said it best. And I'm quoting George Will. Like 10 years ago.
Things have changed.
10 years ago, quoting George Will. And I think he said it best. Lindsey Graham is a political windsock. He has no core. He's a chameleon who will do and say anything to be quote-unquote relevant. And what does that mean? That's fine. If you want to do that, if you just want to be in the mix, that is fine. But it's not fine when you represent a state where the people in that state are suffering day in and day out. And so it'd be one thing if you took your newfound adoration for this president and used that to actually help the people in the state. But he didn't do that. He golfs with the president. He has big fun with the president, as he just recently said. It sort of reminded me of Claire Huxtable. You remember that episode where Vanessa went out to see the wretched to have big fun? Well, the wretched is our president. And Lindsey Graham likes to have big fun. But it's time, my friends, to send him home.
Yeah.
And we will be doing that. So many of you have seen my video. I talked about comic books and how I grew up, and really how I grew up is a big part of who I am today. We did not have a lot. My mom was 16 years old when she had me. She dropped out of high school to take care of me. My grandparents helped her in that aspect. My grandparents are amazing people. My grandmother finished 8th grade because she had to stop school in order to go pick cotton to help take care of her family. My grandfather finished 4th grade, and he stopped school to work at a dairy, and then ended up working on construction. So if you've ever been to South Carolina, you've ridden on our roads. Right now they're pretty crappy because they haven't been paved since my grandfather did. But if you've ridden on our roads, my grandfather really helped to pave a lot of that. If you go to Hilton Head and all of the development there, my grandfather was very integral in that. Amazing people. Didn't have much, and society probably would say, well, yeah. But these people were amazing because they taught me 2 things. They taught me the value of hard work. That nothing in this world will be given to you, and you've got to work hard for it. And when opportunity comes, you take advantage of it. But they also taught me the value of helping other people. Even when they were limited in terms of what they had, they would always give. You would come to my grandma's house on Sunday when she cooked her big Sunday dinner, and you know them Sunday dinners I'm talking about. And you would leave with your belly full and a plate because she wanted to make sure when you got hungry a little later on in the afternoon, you had something else, right? Again, didn't have much, but that was their concept. And that was instilled in me early on, that's very, very important. And what we need in South Carolina are senators and representatives who understand that it's important to work hard. It's important that people have the opportunity to live the American dream. But it's also equally important to help our brothers and sisters when they are faced with challenges and barriers, so that, and it's hard for them to take that next step, that you as the United States Senator, you as the state representative, is there to help and give them a helping hand. This campaign really isn't going to be about Lindsey Graham. Now, we'll allow Lindsey and Donald to have a conversation, and what I'm going to show you is, so tomorrow I'm going to be on Morning Joe.
Right.
And we're queuing up right now, a little later on, it's probably being tweeted out shortly, a video in response to Lindsey campaigning with the president. Just a reminder of their relationship. So that's the kicker tonight. That's what I'm going to leave y'all with it tonight. But let me tell you what this campaign is going to be about. Because again, it's not going to really be about Lindsey Graham. It's going to be about the people in South Carolina. And the things that I know is that it's important for us to make a difference. My entire life, I've been focused on making a difference, particularly for those folks who grew up like me, in the rural parts of the state. Now, when I grew up, there was still some hope, that you had hope that you could grow up, you could go to college, and you could live the American dream. But you go to some of the communities that I used to go to when I was younger, my grandparents used to take me to, and now it's boarded up buildings. Now it's hospitals that are closed. Instead of these bastions of hope, you have bastions of hopelessness. In South Carolina, our motto is, while I breathe, I hope. While I breathe, I hope. A very, very powerful statement, basically equating life itself with hope. It's so, so important. So for me, making a difference is really important, and that's what I'm going to do once I'm elected United States Senator from South Carolina. But in order to make a difference, I have to get there first. And there's some barriers and roadblocks in terms of getting there. And that first barrier is rebuilding the trust of the people. There are some people in South Carolina who don't believe in the political parties, don't believe that government can help them because it has failed to help them in the past. When I first became chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party, I was the first African-American chair of the party. I was canvassing, and I went to this rural community in South Carolina. We were in just the back roads of this little town. And I went to one of these shotgun houses. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the South, but shotgun houses are just long. You can look straight through. And I knocked on this door, and an elderly African-American man came to the door. And I said, "Sir, I'm Jaime Harrison, the new chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party." And he looked at me and he said, "You the chair?" I said, "Yes, sir, I'm the chair." You know, because black folks are chairs in the same parties. And I said, I am the chair. And he said, "Well, what do you want?" And I said, "Sir, I'm here because this election is the most consequential election in a lifetime, blah, 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 blah." And he looked at me and he said, "Son," he said, "You see what kind of road you rode up here on?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "What kind of road is that?" And I said, "It's a dirt road." He said, "Son, that was a dirt road when Ronald Reagan was president. It was a dirt road when both of the Bushes were president. It was a dirt road when Bill Clinton and Barack Obama were president. Son, that's still a goddamn dirt road." So until either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party pay that road, I don't want to hear from any of you. Shut the door and walk back in. Now, I was in my feelings a little bit. I was worried, right? But I sat back and started to think about what he really meant. For years, the parties talk a good game about what they're going to do. But for many of these folks, their lives don't change, regardless of who is in power, Democrat or Republican. And so what he was saying to me is, you have to show and not tell. I have to see the actions and believe those and not the words. So in order for us to win, there's a population in South Carolina that we have to rebuild trust, that we have to show them what we actually mean and what we are fighting for, and not just talk about it, right? So when my mom was 18, she decided that she wanted to go out and get a job to take care of me. And so she reached out to both of her senators, and at that time our senators were who?
Fritz Hollins.
Fritz Hollins and Strom Thurmond. Now listen, we all know about Strom Thurmond. And unfortunately, exactly. And listen, there's a lot of disagreements about Strom and Fritz in terms of what policies they were behind and all. But the one thing that there is unanimous opinion in South Carolina about is that both of them were the best at constituent service. The absolute best. I haven't seen, to this day, 2 representatives or senators that were better at constituent service than Strom and Fritz Hollins. So my mom wrote to both of them and said, "I'm 18, I have a young son, and I need a job." And they both responded. And it was actually Strom Thurmond's office that got my mom an interview. And she actually got a job. Now in that film you saw with me in the plant, that was the plant that my mom worked at. They didn't ask her, "What is your race?" They didn't ask her who she voted for in the last election. They didn't ask her what party she was registered in. They saw that there was a constituent that had an issue, and they addressed it. That, my friends, is fundamentally what we need in Congress. People who see that there are folks who are struggling in their states, and they need somebody who will help them. That is what I want to do. So we are going to do something unique in this race that has not been done in any races. I've been involved in politics for 25 years. It hasn't been done in this race. Starting next month, I'm going to launch a program called Harrison Helps, which will be integrated through our campaign. Because I fundamentally believe that we need to address now. I can't just say, as U.S. Senator, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Those people aren't going to trust me because they've heard that before. So we got to show and not tell. We will go into every county in South Carolina, talking to the community leaders, talking to the nonprofits, and asking, what are the issues that are holding people back from seeing the American dream? My cousin crystallized this for me a few weeks back. He said, "Jaime, Democrats talk about a living wage and $15 minimum wage all the time. But how can a brother just get a job interview?" Right? So the party is on third base trying to get home, and the people that we represent are actually still out in the parking lot. How do we get them into the stadium? How do we get them up to bat? How do we teach them how to hold the bat so that they can swing and eventually get on base? Teach a man and a woman how to fish, and it's amazing what happens in terms of the change in their community. So we are going to go into South Carolina and teach people how to fish. We're going to host resume building workshops, job interview skills. We're going to have healthcare screenings where we're going into rural counties where people have and suffer with diabetes for all of their lives and not even know it. We are going to have FAFSA workshops. Nobody in my family knew what the FAFSA was because nobody had ever gone to college. And nobody knew the importance of why you have to fill that out early and not wait until May or June in the process when all of the federal financial aid is gone. There are fundamental issues and problems that people are dealing with and nobody is addressing them. We have the capacity within our party in order to address them. It doesn't take a lot of money because every single one of you I know knows what a great resume looks like. Every single one of you knows how to go into a job interview and conduct yourself. There are communities who just don't know that. And if they don't know that, if they don't have that knowledge, if they don't have that skill, then they can't live the American dream, right? Because they don't know the steps to take to get to it. And so our campaign is going to be focused on doing that for these communities. So even if by chance we don't win, we know that we have made a difference in the lives of the people of South Carolina, and that's ultimately the objective of this whole thing. That's why you get into this game. That's why you do this, or why you should. That's why I'm doing this. And the last point is, it's important for us to give folks hope again. So when I was in Mr. Clyburn's office, many of you know I worked for Jim Clyburn. I was the floor director for him and Nancy Pelosi when Democrats took back the majority after the 2006 election. There was one night I was in my office, and I had the best office. I will never ever have real estate as good as the rest. I was the direct center, my office, personal office, direct center of the Capitol. If you look at the office, it went straight down to the Washington Monument. On the left of me was a hideaway for John Lewis. On the right of me was the hideaway for John Kerry. Down the hall was Joe Lieberman. Across the hall was Barbara Mikulski and Warren Hatch. And here, this little round-head boy who grew up on food stamps and Medicaid in Orangeburg is sitting in this office, right? And so one night I'm sitting at my desk because Nancy Pelosi likes to work, right? And so I worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And so we were whipping some big bills that week. And I'm sitting in the office, and it's past midnight. And this custodial, a woman of the custodial staff was coming by the office. She was sweeping up, and she kept looking into the office. She kept looking in the office. And finally, I lifted my head up. I said, ma'am, do you need to come in here? And she said, yes. I said, well, come on in. I said, you're my boss, so if you need me to leave, I will leave. I'll go to the conference room. And she chuckled. And she said, you know, son, I come to your office every night to clean up your office. And she said, I look at all your pictures. And on the wall, I have pictures with like Al Gore and Bill Clinton and all this. And then I have pictures of my family. And she said, I love looking at your pictures. She said, now, are you from South Carolina? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. I actually lived in Jim Clyburn's district. She said, oh. She said, so are you from Orangeburg? And I said, yes, ma'am, I'm actually from Orangeburg. And she said, And at this time, I'm like, I watch Twilight Zone, so you're talking by yourself, and then you're like, okay, this strange woman, like, asking all these questions. And then she pointed to a picture it was a picture of my family. She said, is that your mom? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, is her name Patricia? Goosebumps. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, Patricia Harrison? I said, yeah, that was her name, yes. And then she stopped. And she got this expression on her face. And then she put her hand to her mouth and it started trembling. And she said, oh my God, I know your mom. I went to high school with your mom. I remember when your mom dropped out of high school to have you. And she started tearing up. She said, oh my God. And she came up and she hugged me with such a hug. She said, I would have never thought that Patricia Harrison's son would be right here. I am so proud of you. And I'm tearing up, I'm crying. And the last thing that she said to me, she said, "You give me hope." My friends, that is really what this is all about. There's so many people across this country who have lost hope, who don't have anybody who will advocate and speak on their behalf. People like my grandparents. My grandfather passed away, he had diabetes, he never had health insurance in his life until he became disabled. And we have a party and we have these representatives who care more about politics and their own political power instead of fighting for the least of these. This campaign is about those people. It's about giving them hope again. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you're not doing this for me. I'm just a vehicle for a whole lot of people across this country, black, white, Latino, Asian, gay and straight, of all types of religions. In this time in which things are so tough and so rough, we need someone who will give us hope again. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm sorry I'm tearing up, but this is such an important thing to do tonight, and it's such an important thing that we will be doing together. It's going to take all of us. Lindsey Graham is not going to be an easy person to beat, but we can do it. I know we can. I feel it. I feel it in South Carolina. I feel the energy. People are just ready for change. Democrats and Republicans. Because it's not about left or it's not about right. It's not about D or R. It's about what's right against what's wrong. It is right to fight for rural hospitals to make sure that they don't close. It is right to make sure that we protect the environment for future generations, for my boys, for all of the kids, the girls across the state and across this country. It's important that we continue this fight. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this journey with me, supporting and praying for my family, because it's not easy. I have a 4-year-old and a 10-week-old baby boy at home. And so it's not easy, but we have to do it. I feel like I have to do it. And I just want to thank you all for being here. Yeah.
One second, please. I want to really acknowledge the person who's been the quarterback of this event, my partner in life and mostly crime, Katie McGrath. I want to apologize for something that's become very clear to me in listening to Jaime. I went to a lot of people with this sort of stimulus, this motion that we should be thinking about a judiciary and a Senate without Lindsey Graham. Yes. I want to modify that. We should imagine a Senate with Jamie Harrison. Yeah. That's the Now I'm going to ask one thing. Everyone pull out your cell phone and take a picture of the people in this place. And I need for you to take that picture and put it immediately on social media and say that you were here and make a statement about how you felt about what you heard. If we're going to do some things that are impactful, we can do that immediately. None of this paralysis of analysis. You know that you have networks. There are networks in this room that can send resources. There are networks in this room that are connected worldwide and especially in South Carolina. Let's do this. If you can take a picture now, put it in your social network, make your own testimony about what you felt tonight. Let's get this started.
Steve, what's our date? What's our date? June 29th at Urban Stadium. Raise your hand, Steve. He is producing a show with a bunch of like-minded people to celebrate the Blue Day and come join